Executive Order 11110, signed by President John F. Kennedy in June 1963, is often cited as the smoking gun for a massive financial conspiracy. The myth suggests that Kennedy signed this order to strip the Federal Reserve of its power, replacing their notes with a new, silver-backed currency issued directly by the United States Treasury. While that narrative remains popular, the historical record shows that the actual outcome of the order was the exact opposite of what the theorists claim. To understand the truth behind Executive Order 11110, we have to look past shadowy plots and examine the brutal economic math of 1963. At the time, the U.S. Treasury was legally required to back small-denomination paper money, specifically $1 bills, with physical silver reserves. This system came under massive pressure during the post-war industrial boom, which caused a sudden spike in manufacturing demand for physical silver. This chart tracks the crisis. As silver's market price climbed toward this horizontal line, it approached the melting point, where raw metal became worth more than the coin's face value. If crossed, mass melting would wipe out the government's entire physical reserve. The administration was fighting a war of preservation, desperate to keep the Treasury's physical silver vaults from hitting empty. Kennedy realized the only way to save the physical coinage was to stop backing paper money with silver entirely. To protect the vaults, he urged Congress to repeal the Silver Purchase Acts and begin a total phase-out of all silver certificates. Congress responded with Public Law 88-36, which authorized the Federal Reserve to issue $1 and $2 notes for the first time in history. This legislation legally shifted the responsibility for the nation's small cash supply away from the Treasury and into the hands of the Federal Reserve. Since Congress had already expanded the central bank's power to solve the silver crisis, we must view Kennedy's executive order through that lens. Kennedy signed Executive Order 11110 on June 4, 1963, the exact same day he signed the law authorizing those new Federal Reserve notes. The administration faced a logistical bottleneck. It takes months to design, print, and distribute millions of new Federal Reserve notes to replace the old ones. Executive Order 11110 functioned as a temporary administrative bridge, delegating technical authority back to the Secretary of the Treasury. This allowed the Treasury to keep printing the old silver certificates just long enough to keep the economy moving, while the Federal Reserve ramped up its own printing operations. This order served as a logistical handoff, moving the currency system closer to Federal Reserve control that conspiracy theorists claim it was meant to destroy. By stripping the silver backing from paper dollars, the government successfully conserved its remaining metal for the production of actual coins. Despite these facts, the myth persists that JFK intended for this order to be a secret weapon against the Federal Reserve. In reality, Executive Order 11110 was the specific mechanism that allowed the Federal Reserve to consolidate total control over all American paper currency. One of the most famous financial conspiracies in history is built on a complete reversal of the facts, rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of temporary bureaucratic paperwork.